Are you guys ready for your headliner this evening? We are excited to have this man here. He got second place this year in Portland's Funniest Person, and he's got a gig in New York at the Bell House next month. So if you're in New York and you want to see this guy, he's going to be there. Please give it up for the very funny Will Lampe!
All right, give it up for all the comics you've seen so far. Great show. Give it up for yourselves supporting local comedy. I saw a weird billboard today. I guess some cancer association is partnering with the NFL for like an awareness program, and it was just a billboard, and it said "Intercept Cancer." And I don't know a lot about football, but I think a key part of the interception is catching it. And I do not want to do that to cancer. This Sunday, like, catch cancer or the other team will is probably the worst disease slogan I've heard since, like, polio, shake it off. People are just dumb with their stupid names. I went to a coffee shop today, and every drink had, like, a weird politically charged nickname. The drink I wanted to order today was called an Abolish the Police Cappuccino, which that feels like a pretty powerful stance for a pretty weak cup of coffee. I feel like you abolish the police should be said with gusto, and cappuccino should only be said with shame. The barista who took my order, she was white and she was dressed in like the Portland uniform, like buzz cut, camo cargo khakis, Doc Marten boots. And people dress like this and they think it makes them look like a radical leftist when you look like the ROTC guys who beat me up in high school. Actually, if you want to defund the military, you're wearing the wrong team's jersey. I hate to tell you that. They've owned camo for quite some time. And she handed me my drink and she said, "Hey, thanks for being part of the struggle." And I was like, "Aw, I don't think either of us white people are part of the struggle. I don't read a lot, but I think we might be part of the problem." It's like, I think this coffee shop gentrified the neighborhood, and that's why I moved into it. I guess I shouldn't throw stones. Like, I don't think I'm a good ally. I think I'm too agreeable to be an ally. I found out when I moved to Portland that I will honk in support of your protest before I know what it's about. That's not ally behavior, apparently. The other day, I thought I was honking for some, like, liberal cause I believed in. I was honking to kick the homeless people out of Laurelhurst Park. That's not something I would publicly honk for. That's something I'd go 3 days later and be like, "It is nice here." I can't put my finger on it, but it smells better. It just smells so good. One area I think where I'm a decent ally is gay people feel comfortable around me to the point where, like, if my Catholic mom knew how many people came out to me, she'd be so disappointed. She did not raise me to make gay people feel comfortable at all. I think so many people come out to me because I'm a lot of gay people's least threatening straight friend. Like, if you're gonna come out to a straight guy, come out to the guy who looks like Ellen grew a beard. That was my theory at first until I found a much more troubling matter that they were just waiting for me to come out to them in return. My friend told me he was gay, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, let's unpack that for as long as you need. Thank you so much for telling me." And they were like, "Do you have anything to tell me?" And I'm like, "Episcopalian, I don't know." I've been getting, like, worse at it each time someone comes at to me. I think I'm too desensitized to it. Like, the first time my friend told me he was gay, I was like, "Wow, I'm so honored you would tell me. I love you for who you are. Let's talk about this for as long as you want." And the other day, my friend said, like, "I think I might be a lesbian." And I was like, "Great, pass the potatoes." And I don't know if that I'm just, like, over people coming out to me, or if at its core, we as a society just find lesbians less interesting. That's probably a joke we could examine. I would rather just move on, to be honest with you. Let's talk about something more interesting. I do try to be an ally, but I don't keep up with a lot of like the terms and stuff. Like the other day, I was gossiping with a friend, and my friend said, "Oh, that's a bad dude. Like he R-worded someone I know." And I was like, "Oh my God! Like why would you use that word? People with disabilities have been through enough. Like you just shouldn't say that word." And he's like, "No, he like sexually assaulted someone I know." And I was like, "Whoa! Who would do that to a mentally challenged person?" We should fucking kill this guy. And he went on to tell me that like our word is coined for sexual assault now to not trigger people, which I am in full support of not triggering people, but the R word's been taken for quite some time. I used it a lot in middle school, actually. Plus, like, I think that's a serious issue. We should talk about it seriously. Like, I should know immediately that this guy belongs in jail, not think he belongs on a different basketball team. Like, do we have a criminal issue or a chromosome issue? Just let me know, and I will act accordingly. But plus, like, it's complicated. Like, it makes me feel stupid. It makes me feel like a bad person. It makes me feel like an R word, truth be told, and even I don't know which one, so... I think I'm a bad ally because I grew up in the Midwest. I like growing up in the Midwest. That means I had like a Midwestern dad. I like Midwestern dads better than West Coast dads. I don't think I can respect a West Coast dad. From what I've seen, West Coast dads like vape in front of their children. And if my dad were going to want to ground me, he would have to stop skateboarding first or at least get health insurance. You're an adult man. This family needs you. But truth be told, like, I think the one perk of a West Coast dad is they're a lot more affectionate with their kids. That's not how Midwestern dads operate. I didn't know a dad could hug his kids until I saw an episode of Full House. And even then I was like, oh, San Francisco is pretty gay, huh? My dad was always trying to like prepare me for a tough world. Like it was so weird, like and he was a conservative guy with very conservative values. But looking back, he was pretty woke about gender, actually. Like, he would ask about my pronouns in the middle of every one of my basketball games. I'd be sitting there on the court trying my best, and I'd hear from the stands, like, what are you, a woman? Which is ill-timed, but objectively progressive of him to check in, you know? Now he's one of these, like, a penis makes you a man guys, and it's like, I wish you thought that when I was living with you. I've had a penis my whole life. You've never treated me like a man. Nobody has. I don't mean to pretend to know about gender, but I do know what it's like to be misidentified. I went to the mechanic the other day, and I got out of the car, and the guy said, I'll be right with you, kiddo, and I wish we could have avoided that, to be honest. Like, in his defense, I hit puberty about 6 months ago. I didn't hit puberty till I was 17 years old. That's too late. Thanks for the wow. What are you, my middle school bully? That was just a reflex wow. I had a job and everything. Like, I was paying income tax before I had my first wet dream. That shouldn't be allowed. There should be a form on the W-9 that's like, single, married, hasn't experienced his first orgasm yet, doesn't owe the government anything. That would have saved me some money. I got my first erection behind the wheel of a car. That's dangerous. They do not prepare you for that on the driver's test in any way. I was like, is this just what happens when you drive? Am I attracted to stop signs now? And I don't know if I'm attracted to stop signs, but I do know that to this day, whenever I hit 10 and 2, I get pretty aroused. So, like I said, my dad was always trying to prepare me for a tough world, and he did a good job. I do feel prepared for a tough world, but what I don't feel prepared for is eye contact from a loved one. And turns out that's coming up way more often in my day-to-day life. You know, whenever my wife looks at me, I turn less into a good husband and more into an abused shelter dog. My fight or flight response very much kicks in, and I don't know if you can tell from my body mass, but I'm team flight 100% of the time. It's weird being in a relationship like that, because my wife is like a bottomless pit of intimacy. She loves affection, and I love being alone, and that means that only one of us can be happy at a time. And it's so unfair that it's always me. I just, wish there was something we could do about it, but I'll probably keep the status quo forever. To be honest, I don't think she's that good at intimacy either. Like, she's not here. We can talk about it. And, like, we've been together a long time, and she still only says I love you in these weird cartoon voices. Like, I'll be leaving for work, and she'll be like, bye, honey, I love you so much. Rum, rum, rum. And I'll try to answer back equally as cartoony, like, hey, 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 I love you too. Because I only talk to her through Fat Albert, which they say is pretty healthy. I think, what was that? Did you just talk about Bill Cosby? We're a comedy show. We're trying to keep it light, lady. I don't know. Jesus Christ. Hey, just whenever you want during the rest of the show, just shout out Jeffrey Epstein, you know? No, we're a good couple. We've just been together a long time. Like, we started dating as like a young college couple, and now we're this weird like quasi-adult couple. And turns out it's way more fun to be a college couple. That's a more fun time in your life. We used to get drunk on a Tuesday and make out, and it was awesome. And now we get drunk on a Tuesday, and it's all like, we're not drunk, Will. You're drunk again. And I feel like that's less fun and a her problem, because I showed her who I was immediately. Technically speaking, she's the one that changed. So I think that's my biggest gripe with our relationship, other than the fact that I just met her family and I look exactly like her brother, and it freaks me out. I was trying to do some investigating in like a down low way, and I was like, Hannah, what attracted you to me in the first place? And she said, you look like the guy I always pictured myself marrying. And I was like, oh, am I the guy you pictured, or am I the guy you saw in family pictures? What are we doing? Every time your brother hugs you, I'm like, hey, get off her. How about that? How about you got off her? And she was trying to make me feel better. She's like, you got the glasses, the beard, you're like a sexy college professor. And that made me feel better for about 15 seconds. And then I met her dad, and he's a college professor. I think even Freud would be like, shut it down. This is too on the nose. Like, I can't be your boyfriend brother, Dad. That's too many jobs. I only signed up for one of them. I don't think intimacy was ever in the cards for me, though, because I grew up Catholic, and that just gives you a weird relationship with sex. Like, the first time I heard the word masturbate, I asked my mom what it meant, and she said, all you need to know is that it's the devil's work. And that kept me away for a while, but eventually I turned 12 and was like, hey, Mom, is that devil still hiring? Can you tell him as a young man I'm highly motivated in this area, a strong starter, and I always finish the job. It's weird, like, I didn't have anyone to talk about sex, so I tried to watch a lot of network sitcoms to learn, and you know who's not a good sex ed teacher? Is that Jerry Seinfeld. He mostly teaches you how to order soup and be pretty critical of the women in your life. My friends told me to watch porn to get, like, comfortable with sex, but from my experience, it didn't work. It made me more scared of it. Porn is for, like, an angry type of young boy from my experience. It's all, like, all caps titles, like, 4 guys rail 1 girl while they stop her from voting. And sometimes the titles will be downright just, like, violent. Just like, girl gets fucked so hard she can't walk the next day. Is that the goal of sex? Like, I think I've been doing it wrong. Like, I've been with my wife a long time. We've been going pretty hot and heavy. I've not one time crippled her. Every morning where she can just, like, get up and walk, I'm like, damn it, Will. The internet machine said you're not a man. But I guess that's just my opinion on porn. They say opinions are like assholes, and I agree because I'm afraid to share mine at work. But every once in a while, my boss is like, open up, and I always regret it afterwards. I learned a fun fact the other day, and I learned that sliced bread was not invented until 1929. That is 4 years before we sliced the atom, to put that in perspective. I like to think those were related. I like to think a scientist went to the supermarket, saw sliced bread, and was like, oh, I think I could do the same thing and kill all of Japan. That's actually where the term like, this is the best thing since sliced bread comes from. At the Trinity test, one scientist said to the other and said, this is the best thing since that sliced bread 4 years ago. And then we used the bomb, and everyone was like, bread, you should have stopped at bread. I got a weird recommendation from Amazon. I just got on Amazon. I bought a lot of self-help books, and it says, because you bought self-help books, you might enjoy Prozac. And I guess it's a good recommendation, because self-help books are kind of the last purchase you make before you finally decide to get that revolver. Like, every background check question before you buy a gun should be like, how many Brene Brown books are on your shelf right now, buddy? And if the answer's 3 or more, you're looking for help in all the wrong places. I buy self-help books the same way I buy lottery tickets, where I'm like, I don't think this is going to change my life, but the 3 hours of hope is worth the $20, you know? The same way people talk about, like, hitting it big and getting a mansion. I'm like, you know what? I could build self-esteem. But, I am neurodivergent. And if you don't know what that means, that is a term that white people use to make it seem like we overcame adversity. It's weird being neurodivergent. You never think anyone's going to like you. I have blue eyes, blonde hair. I'm 100% German. All that going for me. I don't think Hitler would like me. I think he'd take one look at me and give up the whole, like, Aryan race vibe he had going on. There's no way I can be part of a superior race. I'm 100 pounds. I'm mentally ill. My wife is Jewish, and she opens jars for me. I'm inferior in every way, and I told that joke to my mom, and she said, oh, Will, Hitler would like you. And it made me feel special, because she, like, loves Hitler. That means something coming from her. That's a good mom. I had a weird upbringing in a lot of ways. I grew up in a funeral home. That's the business my family ran, and we lived above it. And laughs already, always. And being in that environment it puts you around death a lot as a kid, and it makes you a weird kid. I didn't think I was weird until the 2nd grade. We read this book in class about this sick old lady, and she died at the end of the book, and my whole class is sobbing, learning about death for the first time. And I'm sitting there stone-faced thinking, that casket's probably $14.95. If I had to guess. Judging from the rest of the book, she's got pretty good life insurance. Why are we crying? The check's gonna cash. This feels like a Tuesday. Being in the business changes the way you see death. It changes the way you see a lot of things. Like, to most people, flowers represent love and affection. And in my culture, flowers represent a friend who wouldn't fly into town for your funeral. My wife asked me why I never got her flowers, and I was like, oh, it just occurred to me that a live human would want flowers. Why haven't I gotten you flowers? You haven't earned them yet, honey. And people always ask the same thing when I tell them I grew up in a funeral home. They're like, oh, my God, was it so scary? Did you see a lot of dead bodies? And I did see a lot of dead bodies, but I don't think dead bodies are scary. I don't think you should think that either. I actually read that 100% of crimes are committed by live bodies. So if you're afraid of a corpse, but you, like, have a boyfriend, I would get those facts straight. I looked it up. Boyfriends do, like, way more murder. Charles Manson's never been less dangerous than he is right now. I'm so comfortable with dead bodies that I didn't understand the movie Stand By Me. Like, from my experience, dead bodies don't make kids want to get together and go on an adventure. From my experience, having dead bodies around makes kids want to leave your birthday party. And that door should have been locked, but that's my bad. I shouldn't have. No, truth be told, I'm happy I grew up in the funeral business. It's like a good business to grow up in. It's pretty recession-proof. No matter how the economy's doing, the mortality rate's been at 100% for quite some time. And even when the economy's bad, people are just kind of killing themselves when the economy's low, and that's where we come in, actually. It's weird having death be like a business, I will say. Like, fun fact, funeral directors coined the term checking out, because for us, death is literally a transaction. And the saddest ones are self-checkouts, I would have to say. There's always one sicko. We've got a term for everything, though. Like, for us, live people are called pre-revenue, so that's what you are to me. But, you know, good economy, bad economy, everybody's going to need to see their way. That's why our slogan is Lampe Family Funeral Home. We'll wait. We got reviewed on Yelp recently, which I think is funny. I didn't know you could Yelp a funeral home. They gave us 1 star because they did not have a fun time, which I kind of thought was the point. But it sent me down this like Yelp rabbit hole, and I found a Yelp review for a suicide hotline that was 2.5 stars, which feels pretty middling for something that should be pass fail, no? I feel like if you stopped what you were doing to write the review, that's 4 stars at least. I think like a Yelp review for a suicide hotline. Who is that for? You don't think you deserve to live, but you think you deserve the best customer service? Pick a lane. I can't tell if you're sad or not. Not to be mean, but if you called the place with 5 stars, I don't think you meant it. I think you just wanted to talk. And you didn't laugh at the first suicide joke, and I thought, keep going, Will, keep going. Suicide jokes get funnier as they go along. No, it's not all bad though. I did get married recently, which is fun, and thank you. And people always ask me, like, when did you know she was the one? And they say that you're in love with someone when you feel the exact same way about them as you do yourself. And I knew I was in love because I kind of wanted to kill my girlfriend, but I knew I was too pussy to do anything about it, you know? And that's the suicide joke we laugh at. That's interesting. When it's about me on stage, you're like, oh, that is funny. He should kill himself. Cool. You all are my best friends. Thank you so much for sticking around. I think that's been our show. We love you. There's a mic after this. Tip your waiter. I'll see you. My name's Will Lampe.
That was Will Lampe, and that was our show. Thank you guys so much. I want you to clap for Colin Joes, my co-host, Brandon Wayne Little. Give it up for him and yourselves. Thank you guys so much. We're here every final Saturday of the month. If you want to come back, and there is an open mic after this. If you want to watch more comedy, who are you doing?
I was saying for Noah.
Oh, for Noah?
Yeah, for the group shot.
Oh, we don't need a group shot.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't need no goddamn group shot.
Fuck the group
No, that's embarrassing. There is an open mic after this. Stay, more comedy. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.